we haven't heard your view, George, and obviously the big news in sports right now is the NFL appealing the Deshaun Watson ruling from Sue L. Robinson, the independent arbiter, who gave him 6 games. The NFL wants more, and we now know it will not be Roger Goodell making the decision. It will be former New Jersey Attorney General Peter C. Harvey who is making the final call. So your thoughts in general on, do you think the NFL is doing the right thing? Do you think the 6 games was low? And do you think that I'll get to the Peter Harvey stuff with you after that, but share with us your general thoughts.
Well, first thing is I generally like the NFL to stay out of the adjudication business. It is not a law enforcement arm. It is not any of those things. So I generally like the league to stay out of those types of things. But you do have to understand that this is a business. And when things affect the bottom line, you have to, like, there are steps that have to be mitigated, although it doesn't feel right that it's navigated by the court of public opinion. But when it first came out, though, Chris, I was like, okay, a 6-game suspension felt it didn't feel fair. It didn't feel right, but it felt like it made sense.
Really? It felt low to me.
Yeah, well, hold on. So I thought it made sense based upon history with the Ezekiel Elliott and the Ben Roethlisberger case, and being that 6 games had been the standard suspension, or what is
and that's
the
clearly
suspension.
Yeah, to your point, that's clearly what she based her ruling on, because she agreed with the NFL that they had proven their point that he ran afoul of the conduct policy. But that's why I think there does need to be an appeal by the league and a stiffer penalty, whatever it is, 10 games, 12 games, a season. Here's why, quickly, and I'll let you get to it. Because I don't think she should have went on precedent. You're supposed to be independent. Those precedents were set by Roger Goodell in a previous collective bargaining agreement. This was supposed to be a new day. So you come with a new ruling. I get in a court of law that that's what you do, but this wasn't that. And so I think if they set a new precedent, say it's 12 games now, so in the future, God forbid, if this type of thing happens, that guy won't be getting 6 games. He'll be getting 12. And again, hopefully it leads to, it deters guys who might think to do that in the future. So that's why I like the appeal by the NFL.
Now, I didn't get to this point yet. I think the NFL did the right thing by appealing it, even though when they collectively bargained the last CBA, they said that as far as suspensions go, there would be an independent arbiter, which was Judge Sue Robinson. And then if the league or the players didn't like the decision, then they could further appeal it to either Roger Goodell or whoever he appoints. And he appointed the former New Jersey Attorney General. Now where? I did not think so. I thought that it made sense initially. But then when I read the opinion of Judge Sue Robinson, and she essentially said that he ran afoul of the conduct policy, and that she believes in just the 4 cases that they heard this about, because the other ones they didn't deem credible enough to put in this. And there were 4. And she said she believed it, that he did, and that he didn't seem remorseful, and it was flagrant, and that this is the worst case that the NFL has seen. Now, when I read that, I was like, whoa, 6 games doesn't make sense anymore. Now, this is a case where she should have, I believe, did not use precedent. But this is also leads to, Chris, that Deshaun Watson had the opportunity to negotiate with the NFL a suspension. The league supposedly was willing to do 12 games and a fine of, around $6 million. That means you could have got him down to 10 games and, $4 million, which would have satisfied everybody, right? Like, there would have still been some people who would have been unhappy, but he would have been suspended for longer than the season, but he still would have gotten a chance to play. He could have lived with that. And instead, it was this constant arrogance in the situation. And that's why, honestly, Chris, from the beginning, once things escalated, I was like, I would have suspended him for an entire year, not necessarily because I could prove whether he did it or not, because there's no evidence really in terms of there's no videotapes, there's none of this other stuff.
Right.
But I would have suspended him for a year for recklessness, for putting the league in danger, for putting himself in danger. Like, it was just flagrant in between 66 and 100 massage therapists in like 17 months. But Chris, though, the one thing, and I'm gonna send it to you on this, is the league gave just the Houston Texans in this, not even mentioned, and they had a hand in allowing this to happen as well.
They settled some lawsuits themselves.
Exactly. And the league, not a peep from them about the Texans.
Right. Well, we're going to get to, in the next segment, the league and how they deal with their owners, because that's been a topic that's been coming up. Whether you think Watson is guilty or not, the owners are getting away with some stuff themselves. And that just doesn't seem fair, isn't fair. So we're going to get into that next. But, look, Peter Harvey, the former New Jersey Attorney General, it's interesting because he's appointed. He was picked by Goodell, obviously to make it look like objective. But you got to believe that, it's going to be a ruling that's favorable. Right, favorable for the league.
To give a year suspension.
So what do you think? So you said you think it should be a year, or you thought it should be a year. I was at one point, I thought it would be a year. Is that what you think would be best right now? Like, you think you should come back with a year? Because, let me hit you this way. There are reports that the NFL
10
wants
and 12 games.
There's reports that the league wants one of two things. Charles Robinson, Yahoo, reported multiple sources have told him the league wants either this, which is an indefinite suspension, and after this season, Deshaun would be able to apply for reinstatement. He must go to treatment, and that in that scenario, he would not get fined. Or they want 12 games, roughly a $10 million fine, and treatment. So of those two, do you have a preference?
I mean, who am I? Am I George Wrighster or am I Deshaun Watson?
Yeah, you ain't Deshaun Watson.
Right,
well, no, you know what? That's interesting, though. You could go from both perspectives. Tell me from both perspectives.
Okay, so for me, I'm taking the year suspension because
I'm viewing you not as a player. I'm viewing you as an outsider looking at this situation. Not if you had been playing.
Okay.
Give me your view just as you
outsider,
are now.
If I want to pound,
what you think is more fair, I guess, or appropriate.
If as an outsider, if I want a pound of flesh, I go, the 10, 12 games and a $10 million fine. I mean, that $10 million hit you in the wallet, homie. I mean, I don't care how much money that you have, but $10 million fine is a lot of money.
It taps him in the wallet.
Yes, for sure.
It breathes on him. It blows on his wallet. I don't know if it hits him.
Oh, no, it definitely does. Because when you look at Deshaun Watson's career, now when you look at how much he's going to make versus how much he's made, because he's on a 5-year, $230 million deal now. But throughout his career up to this point, like he's not a guy who's made, $100 million. Up to this point, he's made $51 million. And, some of that has gone to taxes. So let's say
half of it, basically.
Yeah. So a $10 million fine to a guy who's pocketed $51 million, that's a huge fine.
So from his perspective, what do you think is best?
Oh, if I'm taking the year suspension.
Really?
But at the same time, no. I would take the 10 to 12 games.
The money is big.
Well, but actually, no. I would take the shorter suspension because he needs to. If you're Deshaun Watson, you want to get back on the field because he hasn't played football. Chris has not played football since December of 2020, and it will be if he gets suspended for an entire year. It will be September of 2023, the next time that he throws a football in an NFL game. That will be almost 3 years. And remember, people were talking about Colin Kaepernick, who was sitting on the sideline.
And there's also this. And this is why I think it might be best for the NFL to go with the 12 games, $10 million or thereabouts, and the treatment. I like the treatment. I think he needs treatment. And I also think that even if he's not remorseful at this point, maybe he'll become remorseful in treatment. Like he'll understand what the issue is, why he did those things.
Well, I didn't like his comments,
it enables him, right. But it enables him, if he goes through treatment, people can look at him like, okay, especially if he comes out and apologizes, people can then forgive him. And he can begin his rehabilitation as far as the public image can begin. Then there's the playing this season. And you make a great point about him going 2 full seasons without playing. There's also this, the negative attention, the controversy, all the hoopla, everything that's going to surround his return. If he comes back after 12 games this season, you get it all out of the way this year.
Yep.
That's him. That's the Browns. That's the league. Because none of them are going to want to deal with that. But you get it out of the way this season. And when he comes back next year, it's a clean slate, a fresh start. It's just about football for the most part. So I think that's why the 12-game suspension, you meant your good point, the $10 million because of, what he's made thus far would be significant, and the treatment. So I think that's how he should go. But